Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. The Resurgence meta here in Warzone Season 4 Reloaded is super competitive between Ashika Island and Vondel, which obviously are on constant rotation here throughout the remainder of the season. You got a ton of different top tier and meta options to be running, and today we're breaking down the top 5 best loadouts I would recommend for you to dive in with and just absolutely fry, win game after game, and drop some high kill action. So we're starting first with a very straightforward one that you are, I'm sure, all plenty familiar with. This is a combination of the ISO 45 and the SO 14. Yes, there were adjustments to all the damage profiles and whatnot, and the ISO caught a slight nerf. It's still a top tier SMG choice, and the SO 14 for those that can handle the semi-auto action here, or the recoil and full auto, can reap the rewards of this thing being an absolute monster, and this combination just being super strong for close to mid-range, and then the long range obviously with the SO 14. So setup here pretty straightforward, pretty standard, same thing that we've been running for a bit here because there were no drastic changes made to it. So if it ain't broke, you don't gotta fix it. AIM-OT V4 optic as always for my mid to long range guns, but if there's a different optic you enjoy using more that you're more comfortable with, always switch this out for that instead. 50 round drum if you're in semi-auto spamming, or full auto is going to be totally sufficient. Ripper underbarrel here for the better stabilization and stability is clutch on any semi-auto weapon, just makes it way more predictable and way more forgiving in the mid to long range. Sack and Shred 40 if you're spamming fast with that nice trigger finger or in full auto is going to make this weapon a lot easier to use because of that added control. Then the Boremaster barrel for the better control, range, and velocity is just going to increase that efficiency in the mid to long range as well. This thing is just going to dominate if you land your shots. Master this weapon, learn the recoil pattern, learn how to spam it fast and consistently, and you can just fry everywhere. Then as far as the ISO 45 goes, again, no real drastic changes here. This setup has just been frying since day one. It's still a top tier SMG choice despite being slightly worse than it was back at the start of season 4. So we got the 45 round drum here, the sheer rear grip for the better ADS and sprint to fire, just making it more aggressive. The cheetah stock, which gives you a bunch of added mobility with sprint speed, crouch movement speed, strafe speed, ADS speed, all things you love to see, especially that crouch movement speed on an SMG. I don't use an optic here. I do go for a laser instead for the better ADS and sprint to fire. That said, I know some people don't like the irons here. Feel free to drop one of these attachments outside of the extended mag if you really need like a blue dot or a red dot or something. Then lastly, KT85 compensator, just for some added control to make the weapon feel a little bit more consistent and a little bit more reliable. If you find yourself in the mid-range, you just want to have that consistent recoil pattern. Now, Loadout 2 features the RAPP LMG, then the MP5 or the Lachmann sub. Again, a fantastic pairing, and as we're breaking down all these setups, you can mix and match the primary and the secondary for the most part, and they'll all complement each other well. But the RAPP, yeah, it's slow, it's heavy. The ADS is 5 to 7 business days, and the reload is 2 weeks plus shipping, but the TTK is anything but slow. You fry with this thing. For Resurgence, this is one of my favorite choices despite the lack of mobility here, just because it is so powerful. And then you pair it with an MP5 and you've got your close range covered, you got your rotation weapon covered, you can fly with that thing and use that as your mobility based weapon. The RAPP though, oh man, this thing recently has been one of my favorite guns for sure. AIM-OT V4, TCG 10 rear grip, just straight up for that better control, making it super easy to use. The 100 round mag, because honestly, any extra ammo you can add here to stop having to reload as often is the way to go, right? You're still going to have to reload frequently because the fire rate, but this just limits that to some extent. Ripper underbarrel for the better stabilization yet again, and then Talon suppressor. This is one of the heavier suppressors, so it offers some control, then also the standard range and velocity, just helping out even more in the mid to long range there, increasing that overall efficiency. Like I said, this is a weapon that I've just been loving recently. Then the MP5 setup here, been pretty standard for some time now. I got the TCG 10 rear grip. Once more, better control because there's no ADS and sprint to fire rear grip here. So instead, I just tune for that here in this case, and you get some mobility and some control out of one single attachment. 50 round drum, pretty standard for all squad sizes. Overpressured ammo or frangible ammo is what you're gonna want to use here. That's gonna just make it a lot easier to win gunfights because of strange scenarios, right? With overpressured, when you have that extra flinch, you're gonna make an enemy miss some shots here and there, and that's gonna win you the gunfight. Frangible, if you want to use that, is going to allow you to basically not allow the enemy to heal, and if you're chasing them down, you're gonna be able to take them out because of that. 7mm laser with the better ADS and sprint to fire, then the Falcon barrel, better movement speed, better ADS speed. very aggressive, very fast killing SMG here. Absolutely a fantastic choice. And as we're breaking down all the best Resurgence loadouts today, if you guys are new to the channel or if you have not subscribed yet, this is your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about COD, whether it's updates, patch notes, the best loadouts, you name it, it's all right here. So feel free to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications, and if you enjoy the video or if you find it helpful at all, a like rating would be seriously appreciated, as it does really help the channel grow. Next up here, I've got a combination of the Lachmann 7.62 and then also the Vaznev, another standard SMG for close to mid-range, right up there with the MP5 and the ISO. And the Lachmann 7.62, we're focused on turning this thing into a full auto beast, especially on Resurgence, where you're going to have a lot of mid-range based fights. This thing fries, right? I love the feel of this thing for these types of engagements in specific. So like I said, when you go into full auto, the gun changes completely. It's got a lot of added control needed because of the extra recoil in full auto. So that's pretty much what we're attacking here. Sack and Tread 40 for the better vertical and horizontal control. Lock Grip Precision straight up for the better control. This is not really focusing on stabilization or anything, just simply recoil control. High velocity is going to help out some just for that, sort of hit reg feel and consistency and reliability factor in the mid to long range. That said, for Resurgence, if you wanted to drop high velocity, maybe use like the RAPP barrel for the better control and velocity, that's totally, applicable as well. Sort of comes down to your feel and your level of comfortability with the gun. 50 round drum, pretty much necessary for all squad engagements, and then the AMOT V4, yet again, standard optic choice there. But yeah, this thing will erase players. You just got to get used to how the weapon feels in full auto and you'll be good to go. Then for the Vaznev, I mean, this setup really has not changed in some time because this weapon's just been super reliable for season after season. 45 round extended mag, perfect for all squad sizes. True tack rear grip for the better ADS and sprint to fire. Ultrazat stock, better strafe speed, better sprint speed. Two pretty clutch stat boost there for an SMG build. Olay laser for the better ADS and sprint to fire as well. Then the Cas 1 barrel adds in that slight extra damage range, which is especially clutch on the Vaznev because, as we've talked about before, the damage drop-offs here are very steep. So any extra added range in that first damage drop-off area is going to be super, super clutch. Now, Loadout 4 here is sort of my experimental one for Resurgence. I've got the Razorback as a primary. This is usually sniper support, but for Resurgence type engagements where it's a lot of mid-range and not nearly, as distance-based as Al-Mazrah or standard battle royale would be, you can get away with using this as an actual primary. And I pair this with the brand new MX Guardian, which, as we know, is just absurd for close range gunfights, right? So definitely an experimental loadout, one that is sort of niche for just being super aggressive, I would say, right? So for this sort of mid-range based Razorback build, I got the AMOT V4. A red dot or a blue dot would also be really good here too. 60 round mag is pretty standard there. I go for the Edge 47 under barrel for that added stabilization. If you wanted to try out Ripper, which will be a bit slower, or even Lock Grip Precision, those would both work well too. Echoless 80 suppressor, obviously added range, added velocity. Then the tanker barrel, better control, better velocity as well. So this thing is usable. Its recoil is pretty straightforward. Obviously, it's going to fry in the mid-range where it's just so efficient. And then up close, we got the Guardian, and it's toxic, but man, it gets the job done. I got burst fire here. You could also use semi-auto. Each of these will pair well with the Dragon's Breath, where it's like I said, it's peak toxicity, but it's also peak dominance for close range engagements. If you're pushing, houses in Vondel, or if you're playing super aggressive on Ashika, this thing is going to rip through everybody. I got the DCP stock here, better mobility all around, which is super clutch. I got the ULO 66 laser for that added hip fire capability there. It's going to be easier to use with that, also a little bit more accurate. Then the mobile barrel, I'm mainly just using because it helps out with movement speed. Then a slightly better damage range is on there too. So close range, I mean, good luck to anyone who has to go up against this. It's going to be the most infuriating thing to die to, but if you're the one using it, you're going to be laughing maniacally as you go through. And then finally here, I did want to feature one non-overkill setup in case you're, potentially late game, you got to fight in the water, or you just don't want to use overkill as your initial thing and you're fine with using a pistol. Here's the primary. I'm going for the Lachmann 5.56, and I pair this with the FTAC Siege. Far and away the best pistol to be using, right? The Lachmann 5.56 is the easiest gun to use in the game. Low recoil, super competitive TTK because of that. This setup is one that I featured countless times now, and it just works. You don't have to update it if you don't need to, because it hasn't changed in any drastic way that requires any adjustments. AMOT V4, 60 round mag, Ripper underbarrel for that better stabilization and stability, Echoless 80 suppressor for the better velocity and range. Then I go for the RAPP barrel. It's that 3-in-1 combo, better control, better velocity, better range, better pizza, Papa John's, as always. That said, if you wanted to drop Ripper or the RAPP barrel for high velocity, you could, but also for Resurgence, high velocity is not nearly as necessary for certain guns. And then for the FTAC Siege here, this is just a fun setup, man. It's the Akimbo FTAC Siege. So obviously we've got that as our rear grip. I go for the 50-round drum with Akimbo. You could go 72 and just have all the ammo in the world to spray and pray. Super overkill, not necessary whatsoever, but it's an option. I go for overpressured ammo here again for that added target flinch. We obviously have the 1 milliwatt pistol laser on here for that hip fire benefit. Then we also go for the Super TAC VI barrel, which helps out with control and then hip fire accuracy some. I tune for the slightly better damage range, and then everything else is kind of irrelevant because we're only hip firing there. But as the secondary, this thing is very unique and very fun to use. So with all that being said, those are the top 5 best Resurgence loadouts. If you're also looking for some additional ones as well to use, be sure to check out my general top 10, which features some of these same setups, but also several other options as well. But that's going to wrap things up. If you enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you are new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out so you can always guarantee you're up to date with everything you need to know about Call of Duty. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.